na 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 la la na 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 down 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 do 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 do. That was a classic song feature that was used as part of the soundtrack of an RPG Maker horror game called Eve. I love that game. Anyone else know that game? That game was awesome. Super scary. Right. We got two left, baby. Reflection. Let's do this. Am I bothering you? No. Okay, just checking. It's hard to tell since you always look so into it when you're reading. It makes me scared to interrupt. Well, it's within my expectations to be interrupted when I read here. It's mainly when I'm by myself that I don't like it. That makes sense. I guess if you're here in the first place, then you're more ready to socialize. Even if it takes a little bit of prodding. It's not so bad to be social if I let others do the work. So it can be healthy to put myself in a social environment every now and then. It's mostly difficult when I don't know anyone, or there are too many people, or everyone is being too silly for me to keep up with. Yuri glanced across the room at Sayori and Natsuki. Nice. Sayori has her head cocked back and her mouth open, trying to catch pieces of a cookie that Natsuki is lobbing into the air, but the pieces keep bouncing off her face and hitting the floor. Maybe I should say something. Amazing. No need, they just ran out of cookie. What a waste. They've really become good friends, haven't they? I'm happy. Sayori seems particularly good at making that happen. But the two of them are both on the energetic side, so I suppose it works out well. Yeah, come to think of it. You and I haven't had many chances to talk one-on-one, have we? Though that may be partially my fault, since I'm supposed to be the one engaging club members. Not at all. I probably formed a habit of drawing minimal attention to myself. The responsibility is equally on me, at least to display some openness to engage. Well, what about during times like lunch? Do you meet up with friends? I just read. Oh, I like it that way. It feels nice to be carried off again after a morning of classes. Do you always read fantasy? Well, not always. I suppose it's all I've read recently, but only because I'm in the middle of this series. There are still two more books after this one. I guess those long books suit you well, since you spend so much time reading. Well, fantasy may be my favorite, but after that I'm more or less indiscriminate to genres. I'll read anything with depth and maturity. Oh yeah, even like romance. Well, there are a lot of books that have elements of romance in them. Oh come on, Yuri, you know what I mean. Monica lowers her voice. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, so I won't tell anyone if you do too. What's wrong about enjoying romance? I openly engage in and I'm more than willing to tell people that I engage in Yuri love. A lot. Pretty much like all the time. The only thing I engage in. Maybe more when I was in middle school. I mean, I was really lonely and people were mean to me a lot. So it kind of felt like, oh, please don't make me think about the past. Oh no. Sorry, I just got super curious. Come on, romance isn't for children. You know, we should totally pick out a romance novel to read. That'd be so much fun. Absolutely not. Really? Even if it was just between us? Try asking someone who has no shame, like Natsuki. Ouch. Sorry. I swear I didn't mean that. Well, I guess it was my fault for pressing you. And like that for things in my past too, you know? Things I feel too embarrassed to re-experience. There's nothing wrong with growing out of things. It happens to everyone. I'll never grow out of anything. For instance, Natsuki's interest in manga reminds me quite a bit of how intense I used to be about my own interests. It makes me think that she'll likely grow out of it too. Hey, were you talking about me? No, we were just talking about how our interests have changed over the years. When did you get into manga, Natsuki? Like a couple years ago, I guess. I was already sort of into it before that, but I wasn't really going hard until then. Oh yeah? What was it that inspired you to get more into it? I don't know. I guess, let me think. It was after I discovered a series that I really liked, JoJo. At least for me, it was JoJo. There was like a manga I read, if I remember correctly. Oh, Citrus! Citrus was what really got me into manga. And technically, what made me discover Yuri love. And the fact that there could be romantic relationships between girls. Just as there could be romantic relationships between men. Which I just didn't think it was possible back then, because I'm a fucking idiot. Just cause they got... When there's a hole, there's a way, remix. You know? I'm such a fool. Anyway. So yeah, I did read the JoJo manga while waiting for... I skipped part 5 and went straight into part 6, because I wanted to wait for the dub to finish. I knew there would be no penalties for skipping part 5 anyway. Yes, I'm a part skipper, shame me. But after I finished part 6, I did watch part 5. And then I read part 7 and 8 in normal order. I didn't read 8 until much later, though. And then yeah, Citrus. After I watched the first 12 episodes, I wish they'd had a season 2 already. I was invested, so I got into the manga, and just like that, I was now an avid manga reader, and an even more avid fan of Yuri. Well, not this Yuri, you know what I mean. Yeah, I was just like, really fed up with a lot of things, and I got super into this one series that I really related to. I guess I had an edgy phase where I just hated everyone around me and I wanted to be by myself. Did you dye your hair black too or something? Hey, kind of like Yuri. Monica! Sorry. That's completely wrong, so it's still cool that you both really found your thing. They're almost like opposites, but it sounds like they helped you a lot through hard times. You know it. Wow, what the heck? Is that book even bigger than the last one you were reading? It's technically slightly longer, but not by very much. How high do you think it would go if you stacked up the whole series? Natsuki estimates by holding her hand high above her head, sizing up an imaginary stack. I should get one of those mangas that's like 50 volumes long so that I can say I've read more than you. Not that I have the money for that. Please, that would hardly count when your books only have a few words per page. I know, I was just joking. Hey, come on! I barely pay attention to words myself, and I do much prefer just reading actual books that don't have images. But come on! Just because they're not words doesn't mean they're not content. I could never actually read books like yours, it's too boring for me. I don't know, yeah, it's... Sayori I'm kind of indifferent about. Monica, I already stated, is kind of my waifu, literally, considering she's my desktop BFF, literally, with Monica after story, but for Yuri and Natsuki, I can't really decide. Both of them are kind of in 4th place for me, I suppose. Monica at 1st and Sayori at 3rd. No one's in 2nd. I put the main character in 2nd, why not? It's like, there's aspects I like about Yuri, but I don't like as well. And the same for Natsuki. Like, she reads mangas, I read mangas, but at the same time, I hate her overly cutesy attitude and tsundere. I don't like tsundere attitude. And as for Yuri, I hate her fucking... I hate how she lives her life. Is that wrong? Call me based. Anyway, I'm I'm fucking doing that again, where I just keep talking out of my ass. Yuri shoots a glare at Natsuki. It's not boring. Chill, I said for me, not for you. I can have my own opinion. I just think it's too convoluted. Sayori, are those from the floor? Bruh. That's... You know people step on the floor. Gross. Also wash your hands before touching any of my books. But my hands aren't dirty. Just do it. The oils are there, even if you can't see them. Fine. Sayori trots out the door and Natsuki follows. Yuri, you look a little upset. What kind of nerve does she have to call my hobby boring? Well, she did correct herself. Hardly, she was so condescending. Hardly! She wasn't. She's a straightforward person, come on. She doesn't do condescending. I don't mind if she thinks it's not for her. I already understand that it's not for everyone. But she knows well how much these mean to me. So how about just leaving me alone instead of needlessly telling me the things you hate about it? I'm sorry, Yuri. You may be right. This won't be the last time people have strong feelings about what they like and don't like. Especially in a literature club. So you should figure out how to mediate discussions to keep them positive and constructive. Those don't go hand in hand together, Monica. For the record, I've always been impressed by the level of creativity in your books, and also your ability to get through them so quickly. Thank you. Okay, well, this is something that I'll have to think about and revisit. I'm sure I can help Natsuki find some common ground with you. Common ground isn't necessary. I just wish to be respected. Nonsense! I ship you two, though. That then, either way I'll do my best. I'm skeptical when it comes to Natsuki. I trust you, Monica, but I'm skeptical. That felt like a whole lot of nothing happening. Hopefully the next scene will be a little better. What the fuck's this? Hold on. I'm an idiot. Hold on. Right, shipping is not something I actively engage in. I don't necessarily create ships, but if you've read some of my fanfiction, you might know, which, by the way, please don't read them. Can I change their directory? Here we go. I should have downloaded them here from the very beginning. Alright, that should be fine. Alright, don't worry about that. Just a little something. But, yeah. I especially don't like, participating in the act of shipping yourself with the fictional characters. In other words, waifus and husbandos and stuff like that. I don't really see much joy in it. I mean, it's understandable and stuff, but I don't need to be girlfriends with a fictional character to enjoy and stuff. Plus, I like characters for their, like, actively choosing and shipping, because I'm a really large theme type of guy. Monica being shipped with a player is not only a canonical thing, but also fits with the main theme of DDLC. Which so far, I don't see how this side story, by the way, is enhancing the themes. of DDLC. But can you please go away? Why is this happening? Okay, there we go. Okay, everyone. We have a special club meeting today. But yeah, shipping with myself means destroying a character's character arc I'm shipping with more often than not, which I am not a fan of. Because a fictional character is meant to reinforce a theme, not be an actual person. And I don't want my fictional characters to be actual people. I want them to serve the story as best as they can and be entertaining, thought-provoking, and just generally great, you know? Okay, wow, this is annoying. Anyway, did I miss anything by accident? No. Okay, everyone, we have a special club meeting today. I'm just gonna say that out loud again, just in case. As you know, the Literature Club is a place where we get to share things that we're really passionate about. But that also means we should be mindful of how we respond to each other's feelings. I think we have a chance to turn our differences into positive energy for each other. Aren't you being a little dramatic about this? This is important to me! Well, sorry, I just feel like I'm being accused or something. No, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm sorry if it came off that way. But our conversation yesterday made me reflect on the power of language, and I thought it would be a good topic for the Literature Club. Don't you think? You know any other languages aside from Japanese, huh, Monica? How long have I been recording? I wanted to check that. I'm sure we're going to have differences in opinion a lot, so I need to make sure we're prepared to keep a positive atmosphere for the club. Actually, how's the audio? How's the video? 17 minutes. If you say so. Sure. The cool thing about language is that it gives us a lot of different ways to express the same idea or emotion. We have a lot of control over how we want the other person to feel when receiving our thoughts. I'm really curious and interested to know who wrote these side stories. Because I'm pretty sure they are indeed written by a different person, by not the same people that wrote the main game. It'd be interesting just to see how many fans got to contribute here. Specifically, if there were any fanfiction writers that I know of. Specifically, The Bike. Anyone know that guy's YouTube channel? Their DDLC videos are amazing. We have a lot of control over how we want the other person to feel when receiving our thought. I don't watch them anymore though, but yeah. This goes for poetry and narratives, casual conversation, basically anything. Oh god, feels like I'm going through the class I did back in grade 11 and 12 now. We went through this discussion back then. How do I still remember shit my time from school, much less the lessons, which I do still remember. From the top of my head, the law of supply and demand. Yeah, I don't want to bother explaining. For example, everyone knows supply and demand anyway. At this point, it's just it's the bare basics. One person should always remember that the law of supply and demand is literally just the tip of the iceberg in terms of fucking economics. There is way more. My god, there is way more. I'm pretty sure during my time in economics class, we barely did indeed scratch the surface. I could look through my notebook and see just how far we actually got. Sayori, what's your favorite food? Which I do still keep my notes. They're useful, especially when I'm researching something. It's a general academics trend. That's kind of the fun part about it. It tackled a lot of topics, made me learn a lot of shit. I have them organized by category. Should I start with snacks? Or do you mean full meals? Should I include breakfast? Oh jeez. Okay, how about your favorite fruit? That's easy. Cherries! Damn. Way to overcomplicate a fucking conversation, by the way, Sayori. Really? I always thought cherries tasted nasty. How dare you? What? Cherries are delicious! Whoa, that's a pretty strong reaction. Well, I just don't understand how somebody could think cherries are nasty. How does it make you feel? I don't know, sad. Defensive, maybe. Yeah, I got defensive. See, the reason you had such a strong reaction wasn't just because I don't like cherries. It's because you felt like your opinion was under attack. Did Monica really mean what she said? Does she really not like cherries? Or is she just saying this to prove a point for the discussion? But that's weird, right? Something like taste is completely subjective. But when I say something like I think cherries taste nasty, I'm using objective language. I'm challenging Sayori's reality that cherries are delicious with my own, which is that cherries are nasty. Wait, hold on. How is that objective when you just said it was only your opinion? It's the sentence structure, Natsuki. Keep up. And also brains. It has to do with the way our brains interpret the words. Yeah, it feels like we're going through a lecture right now. God. Should I go to sleep? So that I actually am in school now? You're talking about the reality of the cherries, not your feelings about them. Like Sayori. Let's rewind for a second and pretend I didn't tell you that I think cherries are nasty. Good! So what if instead of that I said like I've tried cherries and they're not for me. It's not the kind of flavor I enjoy. Well, that's fine, as long as you don't call them nasty. Nasty is a nasty word. Okay, so cherries was kind of a weird example, but I think it gets the point across. This time around, instead of talking about the cherries, I just talked about my feelings and Sayori didn't get defensive. So instead of clashing with each other, it's like we received an invitation to talk about our differences. Yuri, you don't need to take notes. I'm not gonna quiz you or something. Yeah, that's the only other part that was missing for someone to take notes. And for this, it was an actual lecture. I know that. I was just... Sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. You can do whatever you like. But does anyone have any thoughts so far? Yeah, I just feel like I shouldn't have to put all my language through a filter. Just to protect someone's feelings. I take a lot of consideration into the words I say, except for when I don't. And when I don't, I try to realize it as quickly as I can, which usually only happens after a conversation. You know, kind of like what happened with Yuri back in the second side story. You know, the Sayori/Yuri focused one. So, never mind, I don't deliberate on my words. But I try to. And you can really see, I deliberate my words most often in my literature. I'm really deliberate about everything I do when it comes to my fiction and my games. Like, no piece of code is without meaning for me. And same for words. Same for art. No stroke is an accident for me, except for when it is, I guess. Because they're usually accidents. I suck! Well, you don't have to. The choice is yours on how you want to come across to other people. I'm only suggesting it as a tool to help turn your differences into a positive experience, rather than an argument. Right, Sayori? Whatever you say, cherry hater. Oh, come on. Sayori actually like cherries. I was just saying that to help demonstrate. What the heck? I've been duped. We've been japed. I've been quite possibly bamboozled. Sorry, Sayori. I'll make it up to you later. How about a cherry sundae? You're welcome to dupe me anytime, my beloved president. Buying your people's loyalty, how deplorable. Oh, like you would turn down a free sundae, Yuri. You were certainly a fan of those cupcakes I brought in the other week. I was reading and not keeping track of them. Oh, that's enough. We're getting off topic. So now that we have the gist of it, how about we try something more relevant to the club? Like manga, right? Let's try to have a productive discussion about our differences in opinion. Ah, it's always Natsuki, huh? I know it's not technically, but it's very implied. Yuri, do you want to start? Although the side stories do a good job making sure no character gets too much screen time over the others. Everyone's getting equal character development for the most part. Um, well, I'd rather not know. Aw, how come? Well, because I don't see how anything productive can come from that. Come on, that's not the point. It's just going to start a fight. No, it'll be fine. That's why I'm here to moderate. Moderation, yeah. I always say this, and this is something Phoenix Wright taught me. It's what I learned from playing Phoenix Wright anyway. Just my own opinion. But I think in order for an argument to be valid, or that's not the correct word. In order for there to be a productive argument between two sides, there needs to always be a third person, a judge, in order to help moderate things, keep things in check, and allow for a conclusion to happen. Because otherwise, it's just gonna be two keyboard warriors fighting it over. And that is the problem with most arguments that happen online. There's usually never any moderation. And that's how you start hate wars. When no one's there to moderate, wars just escalate, man. And that's really sad. That's why a third person is always necessary. I'm sure Monica knows this as well for having been in the debate club, you know? A debate is always two sides. A judge isn't there to... a judge isn't the person both sides try to convince. A judge is just there to be the mediator. A third party that cares not for the actual fight that's happening and is just there to ensure things don't go off topic or whatever. So next time we get into an argument, try to find mediation if you can't find a third person. Both sides should be willing, otherwise you should just give up. If he says he wins and that you're right, then he's just a sore loser who really doesn't want to lose at fucking arguments about opinions or science or something. Whatever, doesn't really matter. What matters is that the argument doesn't turn into an all-out flame war, and that is no fun for anyone. Let's just have a calm and rational discussion. Yeah, give me a little more credit. I'm not a child, you don't have to coddle my feelings. I always think it's more respectable to just speak your mind. Respectable? Yuri's expression changes at that word. As Monica recalls, being respected was the crux of the matter for Yuri. Well, the point of the exercise isn't exactly like... It's fine. I have nothing against anyone personally. You're entitled to enjoy whatever it is you like. I just prefer more depth and nuance in my reading material. Oh, and you... The type of medium you use to convey your story is always important. A manga can just as be sophisticated. You know? It's just that sometimes it's better to tell stories with more pictures and less letters than it is more letters and less pictures. And sometimes pictures and letters aren't enough. And there needs to be moving pictures. And even beyond that, moving pictures turn out to not be enough as well. And now you need voice acting and music. And then sometimes you want the viewers to be able to interact. And so you move on to the interactive medium of gaming. But sometimes those end up being too much. Sometimes you don't need viewers to be in control. You don't need it to be a video game. Sometimes it's more than enough, and sometimes even better if it were just a movie. Etc, etc. Choose carefully, you know? Different mediums are used to tell different kinds of stories. That's all I'm trying to say. Know what your media's good at doing and what it's not. And yeah. Don't try to make movies and games, and don't try to make movies games. I look for and speaking back of argument, I'm just talking to myself here. Obviously, for there to be an argument, there needs to be another person. Otherwise, I'm just talking to myself. Oh, well, that's just a misunderstanding then. I thought you were gonna say that manga's for children or something, like I don't hear enough of that. But there's plenty of deep manga. I'm not clueless about manga. I've read my own fair share when I was younger. What? Are you serious? How come you never told me? Because I'm past that point in my life and I really prefer not to revisit it. I prefer more mature things now. Ugh! I hate it when people say that. Makes me want to punch them. Part of the reason I don't watch Ryan Higa anymore is because he said he thinks games are for children and that he doesn't play them anymore and he's moved on in favor of watching movies and stuff that aren't for children. Like, come on, fuck you. You can enjoy anything. You can enjoy any media. Regardless of your age. That doesn't fucking matter. Excuse me. Okay, hold on, can I jump in here? Wow, look at Monica. She's actually jumping in and keeping things mediated. Way to go. Character development, I guess. Although I guess she was in the debate club. It's kinda I guess this is sort of natural for her. Let's try to keep things objective. Because if you imply that manga is immature, then aren't you implying that someone is immature for being into it? Well, maybe it's immature to judge people for having different tastes than you. Natsuki. Nobody's immature. I've read Natsuki's manga and Yuri's fantasy, and love them both in their own way. Okay. It's great that you like it, but I still find it boring. Boring isn't subjective. Okay, it bores me. That's subjective. But, I mean, the thing about... This is ridiculous. Do you see why I didn't want to participate in this? I knew it was just going to make people upset. I'm not upset. Like I said, I don't care what other people think. You clearly do. But I always got the impression that you secretly looked down upon me. So I'm glad my suspicions were confirmed. That's not true at all. You're making assumptions. You can't blame me for getting defensive when nobody ever has the least bit of respect for the things that I'm into. Natsuki's the same, you know. The only thing I look down upon is when people make fun of me for just being myself and trying to mind my own business. Natsuki's the same, you know. What? Have you looked into a mirror? Tell me again about respect after calling all of my interests immature. You can't... Please stop. Please. You don't mean the things you're saying right now. Let's just be friends. I didn't mean for this to happen. Well, it did. So please don't invite yourself to try and solve other people's problems next time, okay? Oh, come on. Yuri's piercing words send the clubroom into a choked silence as she gathers her things. She leaves. The panda eats, shoots, and leaves. Holy crap. I've never heard her sound like that before. She must be so pissed. Well, you weren't very nice either, so... I was just saying. How did this happen? It's my fault. Yuri wasn't wrong. I shouldn't have tried to moderate a conflict when I know how bad I am at dealing with conflicts. It's a step. It was a really stupid thing for me to do. Nobody's fault, and it wasn't stupid. Everyone in the club is a nice person. Nobody would have expected this. But I guess we're just sensitive about the things we really love. That's just how it be to be a human, sadly. Honestly, she kind of brought it upon herself. Like I said, I don't care if you're not into manga. But if you actually look down on the other people for it, that's kind of the point I was trying to make in the first place. It's not about sugarcoating things, it's just about recognizing and understanding our differences. Okay, but here's the thing about that. Yuri actually looks down on me. It has nothing to do with her word choice or anything like that. So I see what you were trying to do, but I really think the problem here is her. Not just like the way we talk to each other, alright? I mean, Yuri isn't like that. She's a lot sweeter than you give her credit for. I'm sure she'll be reflecting on this. I actually think everyone should. It'll be fine. I'll figure something out. I'm just saying that instinctively. I'm just setting myself up to cause more problems. This wasn't your fault, Monica. You don't have to beat yourself up over it. Kind of is, though. If you ask me, it's good that the truth finally came out. Because I can just move on now. But, it's fine, I promise. Let's just get our mind off this, okay? In fact, it's a good opportunity to read some manga without having to worry about feeding Yuri's superiority complex. Don't be mean. I'll talk or read manga or whatever you want, but don't be mean to my friends, okay? Sorry. I'm just bitter. Salty much. Yep, that tends to happen after a conversation, especially something as subjective and opinionated. Everyone's always gotta be defensive. Speaking from experience, everything will be okay. I mean, I don't have the answers, but I at least know that we're all good people and don't want to hurt each other, right? This will be a learning experience. Monica says that, but her uneasiness is given away by how much she has to force the reassuring tone in her voice. This was bound to happen eventually. Natsuki and Yuri have always engaged with each other, the least out of anyone, and this is the reason. Yeah, I just realized there's no Natsuki and Yuri focused story. Very sad. Kinda wanted there to be one. And the last one is centered for everyone. As Sayori and Natsuki proceed to distract themselves with manga, Monica sighs to herself, unable to shake her worried thoughts. Will the club really have to just come to terms with the fact that some members will be incompatible with each other? Monica desperately doesn't want to admit that, and she knows Sayori doesn't either. For once, a solution doesn't seem to be in sight. Always gotta check now. Yep, part 2's there.